Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Bulldogs everywhere. Welcome to the Butler Athletics Preview and Recap Show presented by the Butler Collegian. I'm Jake Bedell.
And I'm Jack Jankowski.
And we're going to be breaking down all the action that's happened in the last 7 days and giving some insight as to what's to come in the next week around the fall athletics season. Jack, it's been quite the start towards this athletics season. Can you give us some insight as to what we've seen over the last 7 days?
Absolutely, Jake. We'll start with women's volleyball. They went 1-2 over the weekend in the top dog competition, falling to Auburn and Illinois State while beating Eastern Illinois. They dropped to 1-5 on the year. Cross country had the Butler Twilight event this weekend, with the men sweeping the podium, getting first, second, and third all Bulldogs, and they win their season opener that way. The women, they also won big. Top runners finished third, fourth, fifth, and sixth for the Lady Dogs. Men's soccer had games against Drake and Western Michigan. They got up early against Drake in the 31st minute. Eric Hollenkamp had a goal, but 2 second-half goals by Drake gave them the win, and the other Bulldogs, the Drake Bulldogs that is, coming out with the victory. The other game, Western Michigan, a tough contest for the men's soccer team. They rebounded Thursday, though, against Western Michigan, as Brandon Gould had 2 goals within 5 minutes of each other, and they won against the 16th team in the country. Women's soccer, they have gotten out absolutely on fire to this season, 4-0 to start the year, a 4-1 victory over number 20 Notre Dame this week. Paige Monahan had 2 goals in the game. Morgan Kluserman and Katie Soderstrom both had a goal in the contest. Football, well, after 11 years to the day since Appalachian State beat Michigan in a historic upset, the Bulldogs pulled off a similar feat. They were 37-point underdogs to number 24 Youngstown State, and they were down 21-7 with less than 10 minutes to go in the contest. The Bulldogs rebounded, they came all the way back, and after an onside kick attempt was successful, a late drive was productive. Kicker Drew Delvenheimer, with 4 seconds left on the clock, nailed a 44-yarder to give Butler the improbable victory, 23-21. For a look at what's happening in this next week, we go to Jake Bedell.
Thanks, Jack. And now to the men's pitch for men's soccer. The Bulldogs square off against the Columbia Lions this week on Labor Day. They're now ranked number 11 in the United States coaches poll, which gives them great encouragement moving forward. They'll want to build momentum following this great game against the number 16 ranked Western Michigan Broncos. The match against Columbia should prove to be a relatively easy one, so I expect them to walk away with a victory. It was great seeing their goalie, the Butler Bulldog goalies out on the pitch at 7:30 last Tuesday. I thought it was really important knowing that they were willing to put in extra work following the loss against Akron 2-0 or 2-1 last week. So they definitely have work ethic, and they want to see their season improve in the coming weeks. Later in the week, they travel west to the UC Santa Barbara to play the Gauchos. They started off the season 2-1, but they ended up losing to Portland last week. This match, I feel like, will be slightly closer, but I do expect Butler Bulldogs to come out with a win and potentially finish the week 2-0. Moving to the women's side, they started the season 43rd in the country, but it since then moved up to number 25 following a big win against Notre Dame 4-1 last week. They do take on number 19 Kansas Jayhawks tonight, so I fully expect that to be a great matchup. The 3-0 start to the season has proved that the Butler offense is absolutely ruthless, and they can put the ball into the back of the net. They scored 10 goals in 4 games, and it was just very, very impressive. The Butler defense has also made a name for itself, and they've only allowed 2 goals since the start of the season, so they've been really attacking the ball and not allowing the opposing teams to bring the ball into their own zone. The Kansas matchup will be a tight one, and Butler will need to bring everything to the table if they expect to come out with a W. The Dogs also match up against Evansville later in the week on September 6th at home. They've had seen repeated success against them, so I don't see them losing that matchup. The women for volleyball on the court look to turn things around after a 1-5 start to the season this upcoming weekend at the Arkansas Classic. They will be playing the hosting Razorbacks on Friday, as well as a doubleheader against Northwestern Wildcats and Buffalo on Saturday. Women's tennis, they take to the court to host the Fall Invitational on September 8th and 9th. The former president, Matt Moore, was named head coach after former coach Teo Bailey accepted a new position at another university. We'd like to see how much success he's going to have at the start of this season, so we're giving him great encouragement as the season moves forward. Moore spent 9 seasons as the tennis coach at Zionsville High School, and he led both the boys and girls team to 16 sectional championships, 4 regional championships, and a trip to the state finals. On the gridiron, the football team was ranked number 4 in the preseason Pioneer Football League coaches poll. They take on the Taylor Trojans Saturday, September 9th, following the big win against number 24 ranked Youngstown State. The senior Will Marty will start at QB again this season after throwing for over 2,100 yards and 7 touchdowns in the 2017 season. Taylor struggled defensively last year, giving up 28.9 points per game as opposed to their own scoring of only 26 points per game. So if the Butler can walk out with a win, they expect to jump out to an early lead in order to give their defense some breathing room and won't have to play back on their heels. If they're unable to do this, it shouldn't be a problem. They do have a very strong linebacker core to stop the Taylor run game and prevent them from running the ball downfield. I will expect the Trojans to start throwing the ball as the game progresses, and that'll mean that the Butler Bulldogs will need to rely on their defensive backs and safeties in order to prevent further scoring. This week, cross country and golf are off, so you can expect to see some action from them in the future. Back to you, Jack.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Join us next week for more Butler sports. For the Butler Collegian, I'm Jack Jankowski.
And I'm Jake Bedell.
We'll see you next week.